Hello everybody and welcome back to the chassis variant series with myself, Critical Rocket. We're kicking off with the one and only Mauler variant that is even slightly sort of canon. Now I say slightly canon because there's one reason the MX90 exists, and that's because of the animated series that was created. Now if you've seen that or not, it's an entirely different kettle of fish. But basically the animated series added the Mauler as a mech that was piloted by one of the characters, which was called Zachary Hawkins. Zach Hawkins had a Mauler that had a unique build, basically, because to accompany the cartoon at a later date, FASA released a sourcebook for the tabletop game, so you could play the battles from the show, and you could also get some information on the characters and other bits and pieces like that. So the Mauler build that was in there wasn't actually the Mauler build that was about at the time. So this version had 2 LRM-10s, 4 AC-2s, 2 large laser, which is different from the standard Mauler, which is 2 LRM-15s or 20s off the top of my head, 2 EL large and 4 AC-2s. It's not a huge difference, but it was enough of one. So when this happened, the writers suddenly hit a bit of a question of, okay, how do we reconcile this? Because technical readout 3050 says the mech was built here, and we've got this mech, which is obviously knocking around before that time. Oh shit, okay. So, there's a note that basically describes it better, which is to say that it was called the Daboku, and the reason was the production history of the Mauler was significantly changed from what had originally been published in the Technical Readout 3050 book, and to reconcile this earlier version, it was written to have existed by the War of 3039 already. So essentially, what they did was they said, right, there was the first version of the Mauler that was encountered by Federated Commonwealth forces. That was actually what the Kuritans called the Daboku. The problem was the Daboku wasn't very good, basically. It was a well-armed assault, well, heavily armoured, but it had some crippling design flaws, and because of this, the Kuritans largely abandoned the design. In fact, allowed numerous models to be captured by the Lyran forces. And what usually happened when the Kuritans encountered the Lyran forces on the front line was they knew the crippling weaknesses of the design, and they would aim for those spots and very quickly knock out the mechs at times. So, up until the point where Star League tech became available, the mech suddenly and rapidly increased in quality, because suddenly you had an XL engine available to you, the ER large lasers, and you could put on more armour, you could have better speeds, more ammunition, they could fix some of the design flaws, and the Mauler ended up going back into production, although at this point it was being built by both the Kuritans and House Steiner. So yeah, it's a bit of a twisted, confusing narrative. Now, within MechWarrior Online's world, this is the only sort of legit variant of the Mauler in-game. There isn't actually any other legit versions. The P variants are just made up bullshit by PGI. There's a good reason for this. It's because all the other variants that exist at the time used weapons that weren't currently available in the game. So one of them uses snub-nosed PPCs, another one used a C3 slave unit, there was one with light autocannons, one uses ER mediums. These are all things that can be done. You could build a few of them now, of course, and if PGI wanted, they could add these other variants, but it's unlikely they will. So the MX90 is the only kind of legit version. Now, the MX90 is by no means a bad assault mech. If we have a quick look at the little stats here, it has 6 ballistics hardpoints, which is the most shared with the champion version, so it has the most ballistics hardpoints of any of the Maulers, with 2 energy and 2 missile. So it's pretty bloody nasty, basically, and is definitely the choice for the discerning dakka player out there. If you do want some ballistics to tear something down quickly, the Mauler's MX90 is definitely your first choice. Now, the other weird thing is the MX90 is in the game, and it's also kind of Miles Hawkins' mech. It's a bit like the High Roller is the Bushwhacker hero variant for Valton Ryder from the cartoon. The KO that they introduced recently is supposed to be his mech, but the build on the KO hero Mauler, which is supposed to be the one from the cartoon, isn't right because it's using different weapons and setup again from the MX90. The MX90 should be the hero variant, but it isn't. It's very confusing. It's all over the bloody shop. But suffice to say, the Mauler is a pretty friggin' good assault. The The MX90 is a damn good choice, alongside the 2R. Basically, if you want just a pretty solid, almost Kodiak equivalent for the Innisphere in some respects, because of the big emphasis on torso-mounted ballistics, with a couple of laser backup points. It's pretty good. It looks the business. And if you haven't tried out a Mauler, definitely give it a go. It's a fantastic assault mech. It holds a special place in my twisted cold little heart for Battletech because of its involvement in the cartoon. It was so good to see that thing stomping along. And if you watch any episode of it, I would pick I can't remember the name of it now or anything of the episode, but it's basically one that has the one and only appearance of the Hatamoto Chi. And there's a big three-way fight, and there's just this awesome scene where the Mauler is just stomping through a jungle and it's just firing in chain its AC2s, and it's so fucking cool. But that's the end of that one. Thanks everyone for watching, and I hope you enjoy this vid, and I'll see you next time. Bye!